Did you really think that we were gonna quit? Did you really think that we were gonna forget the sounds of the change and the cracks of the whip? Did you really?
So how are you, Tracy?
I'm doing wonderful. Excited about the next picture.
Great.
Ready to get into some good discussion.
Excellent. As you can see, July is like flying by.
Yes.
And we definitely had having a good summer. Haven't seen too many of your friends flying around.
I think they're gone.
Think they got, huh?
Ooh, yes.
Well, you were saying that your sister cannot stand them. She be going into fits when she see those bugs. Right. And I guess everybody kind of glad that they're gone. And everybody kind of glad that they are
correct.
Going back under the ground for the next, what?
17 years.
17 years.
Some people was eating them for protein.
Okay.
Because they're good. Good source of protein.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's different. We were talking about getting in shape and eating well. I guess that may fall into
to that, yeah. That's the truth.
To that category. A, B, C, and D. So let's get started. As you know, time be flying and we be like really moving as we get into this dialogue about breaking down the divide. Coming from the book Divided Nation, it's a book that I wrote years ago, and we kind of came out with it again in 19. And so definitely a good read, and I'm not just saying that because I'm the author, but I'm saying it because of the culture and the time that we're in. Right. I believe that this is a time for us to look at some of the principles that's inside of the book. And even though it is a fiction, we do focus on unity, ownership, and the global identity.
Correct.
And giving the African American community a vision of our next move and our next ideas and our deals that we want to focus on. It is a franchise. This movie, this book has a soundtrack in a movie to it. So I want you to really kind of get involved. Get your book, if not for anything else. Get it because it's going to connect us together as a community.
Correct.
Right? And it's going to have sentimental reasons and a sentimental purpose, and it's going to connect us together. And we are actually focusing on doing marketing, national marketing, and national promotion. So a lot of people are going to be talking about this book and talking about the campaign, and we want you to be ready to participate.
Correct.
On the highest level. This is a franchise. This is not just a one book. This is or one movie or one soundtrack. This is part 1, part 2, part 3. And we're building it as a franchise so we can focus on, once again, building our community, getting it ready for what I believe is going to be the next big and best move. What do you think?
I want to share a little for me, being an African-American woman. For me, reading the book, which I share with Naco, for me, reading the book has opened up some understanding and is allowing me to really research my history because I'm 50 years old. Yes, I'm 50. But a lot of the history I did not know. And for me, the book, even in these pictures that we're reading now, I can almost feel some changing and some breaking up that's going on inside of me. Even going through reading this process with Raymond and the caretaker, I'm looking at it in a different way. So when you purchase the book and you read the book, I know for some people that don't like reading, but this book is an easy read. It's not difficult. So anyone can get the book and read it. But really take your time and read it and look for the signs and the symbols. So for me, that's what reading the book has done. And now I'm being able to actually sit down with you and actually ask you questions about the book is opening up more understanding for me. So please get your book and join in the conversation. It's so important.
I can see that.
To be a part of the conversation.
Absolutely.
And to hear other people's thoughts. I would love to hear other people's thoughts, and maybe they may see some things in that picture that we don't see, that they may grab hold of, to help to change their lives. So.
Absolutely. And so we're not going to waste any more time. Let's get right into picture 16, right? And in picture 16, Raymond is still missing. We know that Raymond is doing a 40-day detox, a self-detox, and but people are actually talking about him being kidnapped.
Correct.
Some people think that some mainstream organization or some prejudice organization had kidnapped him. And so no one really know where he's at. So when you open up this picture, you see Benjamin and Lily Williams, two white couples who have been Raymond's fans for, since he came on the political scene.
Correct.
And so both of them are judges and doctors. And so the male want to get involved and find out exactly where Raymond is. He want to call some people and call some favors and talk to some people about, what's the situation. His wife, on the other hand, is saying stay out of it, right? Stay out of it because as far as the news is concerned, the family said Raymond is cool.
Right.
Raymond is all right. So they kind of put that out there. But, the public still think, something is not right. So with that said, what do we think about the sign and symbol of this white couple? One wants to get involved. The other say, no, don't get involved. What do we think about the mainstream Caucasian helping the African American community at this time when we are building and preparing to go to the next level? Should they get involved? Should they be part of it? Let me place down this disclosure, okay? Let's make it clear, 100%. Breaking Down Divide, Divided Nation and Unity campaign is a peaceful campaign. Once again, you're going to hear me say it. I'm going to say it many, many times after this. I'm not into the protesting. I'm not into the marching because I don't think it helps. I might get a lot of calls and I might get some backlash because of that. I think it's just a cycle of taking 2 steps forward and 10 steps backwards. I'm not saying at the time that we're marching, it's not good. It don't. I'm not saying it don't look good. It don't sound good. Sometimes it even feel good. I'm saying after the marches, when the smoke clears and the dust settles, it seems that we take 10 steps backwards. I think that we should put our energy in building our own system. That money, that energy should go into building our own system. With that said, so I definitely I'm not a racist. I am not prejudiced, and I don't focus on quote unquote being a troublemaker. I'm not that because that takes too much energy. I think that energy can be invested in building, right? But this subject here is going to be a kind of very touchy, very sensitive.
It is.
Because it may have a prejudice overtone, right? And so we're going to unravel this idea and this concept of us focusing on us. And do we allow the mainstream Caucasian to participate, or do we just focus it on ourselves, right? And focus on not having them involved with the building of going to the next level. And we're going to discuss that. So, once again, this podcast is focused on peace, focused on building peace, and focus on building us as a community, so when we sit at the table of confusion, we can bring a level of peace.
Correct.
I believe, once again, the greatest problem is because we don't know who we are, because we don't know our identity, and we don't have that unity, ownership, and global identity. We go to the table sometimes with a demeanor saying, give me mine. I'm going to take yours. You got too much. And looking at what other people have because we don't have our own. You know, people around me, I want people to be successful around me, so they won't be looking at my success, crazy. Like, why you're so successful. That's where jealousy coming at. Once again, and I'm quite sure I heard a lot of people say the same thing. If they want successful people around them, they want people who can achieve and people who can accomplish. If not, they're going to question yours. They're going to look at yours sideways. So the question now remains, do we allow the mainstream to participate? Or do we want the mainstream Caucasian to take a back seat and let us build this, and then when we finish building, then we can come together and do A, B, C, and D? What you say?
Correct. So when we had this conversation and you asked me this question, I want to be the one that viewers might be saying, maybe what's wrong with that? Because I was saying that to you. Like, well, I don't really see what's wrong with allowing them to give us their money, or to work with us, work alongside of us. I couldn't really understand, like, what's wrong with that? Mm-hmm. If they want to help, if they want to participate. Mm-hmm. So last night, as you're talking, I'm kind of unraveling some stuff in my head. But last night, really doing some research and looking at, first of all, looking at the history of the African Americans. And I was sharing with you that when we come together as a people in so many different places in Atlanta, and I was giving you the different dates in 1906, in Tulsa, Oklahoma, when African Americans actually come together, we can do so much and not bringing in Caucasians or other cultures. How well we expand, because I was sharing with you in 1906 in Atlanta how the businesses were growing just within their community, not looking for any investors or anyone to come in, but within their community. And even one of the historians was saying that right after the Civil War, those 12 years, how much growth African Americans were doing. Like, we were just working together, just being in unity, just having that same identity. We're out of slavery. Is now those years, 12 years, how much we were growing. But because of the growth, they were like, they have to stop us. They got to put an end to this. So I can now understand why we would, as a people, need to build within ourselves, need to bring the resources within ourselves, need to work together before we allow them, I don't want to say them, but allow Caucasians, to come in and say, here's $10 million, or here's this. But within ourselves, building that up. It was a lady that was in the video, and what she shared was, being a Caucasian, she had to actually go back and look again at African American history, because she had learned, but she said, wait a minute, something still was not clicking. Something was not right how African Americans were treated. I need to go back and look again at history. And she went back and looked at her history and saw how so many Russians that were not even here in the United States were given land that was supposed to be given to us. So she had to say, wow, that was injustice. So she had to go back again and look at African American history. So we have to think, okay, if we allow Caucasians to come alongside, like what's in their mind? Why are they doing it? What is the purpose? What is the agenda? What is the motive? I feel like if we do things within our own community, invest, it builds up a different confidence. And when we come to the table, and you were saying something about those that are around you, I also think those that are around you need to have the same mind, the same drive, the same purpose, so there will not be no jealousy, but also knowing their history, so you can, stand on that truth, and that brings people with the same mind. But so many times we don't know our history. We know what we see, what they present, what they give us in our educational system. They showed us roots. They only give us our history when we should be researching it and giving it to each other ourselves, so we can get the full truth.
Absolutely.
So we can actually see a community of African Americans working within themselves and showing that it does work, that it can work. So it's so many systems that were set up to let us see that it can work and that we can do this, but we don't learn about those.
Right.
Right.
No, we absolutely we don't learn about the school system that we created, or the innovators, that created different inventions and different things like that.
Yeah, it's never talked about.
And it's never talked about.
Right.
Now, just as the book mentioned, you have the male saying, "Hey, let me get involved," because that's what men do. We want to do stuff.
Right.
And
we want to fix it.
We want to fix it, right. Where the wife was like, no, stay out of it, A, B, C, and D. So there are some white Caucasians who are saying, no, let's stay out of it. And then there's some people over here say, no, let's help them, let's fix it. And I'm not saying that they have ill will. I'm not saying that they want, to create a demise. I'm saying that we have to have that opportunity to build for ourselves. So like you said, we can create something that is not tainted, that is not polluted or diluted. Right. Because if we don't do that, then we are going to once again build something that is not going to last. If we can participate totally and solely on the building of this new system, then if it don't work, then we can only blame ourselves. At this point, we are blaming the mainstream because we're saying, well, y'all participated. Y'all built the school system, so no wonder we're not learning. Or no wonder we're dropping out of school. Or y'all built the homeowner system, so no wonder African Americans are not owning homes. Or y'all built, the economical system, and this is why we're asking for equal rights when it comes to the wealth of this country. Like you just mentioned, a foreigner can come into the country and get a grant and get hundreds of thousands of dollars to start over. And here it is, we help build the country, and we can't even get enough money to catch up on our bills and get out of debt. So how did that look? Now, I'm saying, this is me. It's our fault. It's not their fault. Why? Because we didn't build our own banks. We got to build our own bank. We got to build our own homeowner system. We got to build our own economical system. And then we can say to them, let's sit down at the table and talk about how we didn't have it equal. We're not telling you to give us something so we can survive. We're saying now that we have survived and we are thriving, now let's system against system or system with system can sit down, and then they can say, you know what, we did do y'all wrong. here goes some money.
Correct.
And now we can contribute to your banks, and we can contribute to your institutions, and we can contribute to your system.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying, because the thing is that if we really research our past, it worked.
Right.
It was systems that were set up. This one particular business owner in Atlanta back in 1900s, he actually had a barbershop where Caucasians were coming to get their haircuts. So we can look at history and see that system works, and that it can work, that it's in us to do this. It's in us.
Absolutely. It is in us to do it. And so
Why are you smiling?
the couple, no, I'm just thinking of something.
Oh.
The couple have actually agreed that they're not going to get involved. They agree not to get involved because they understand that the Godfather actually created a system for Raymond. They don't understand this, but as a writer, I'm telling you that the Godfather created a system that have all this figured out. Okay. Once again, we have all this. Watch this. All of the pieces on the table. We just got to put it together. Right. And when it comes to police brutality, when it comes to the police coming into our community and killing one another, we have to look at a system that we can create that protects our own community. Okay. And we do have the resources to do that. We have the resources to do that. And one of the first things that we have to do is be able to say, and a lot of people are not prepared for that, y'all stay out of it. We can take care of ourselves. Are we confident in saying that? Are we confident in saying, y'all stay out of it, we can take care of ourselves? Because what we're talking about, and what you highlighted, was ownership. You know, we're going to get to the global identity, but ownership, unity and ownership have to be maximized before we can talk about global identity, right? So ownership. Are we ready to tell the mainstream to stay out of it because we can take care of ourselves? Or are we saying we just don't want you a part of it? Because there's other people who are going to say, ho, don't talk too fast now. Because these people sign my paycheck.
Correct. Yes.
These people sign my paycheck. These people watch our kids. These people watch, daycare. They got the 5-star daycare.
Right.
Oh, don't say that too quick.
And some people may say this white woman or white man had my back when my own
did not.
Right. So, that's right. Right.
So I'm being fair.
Right.
I want to be fair and look at it from all angles.
Correct.
I just don't want to say we have a good idea, we have a good concept, A, B, C, and D, so let's not involve them. I'm saying that this is something we have to talk about. If we are serious about building our own system, it's something that we have to consider. If we do consider bringing them in, to what extent? What extent would they have? It's like having a corporation, the board of directors. How much power do we give them? How much involvement? Are we just taking their money and they have no input? I mean, what exactly are we talking about here? And some of these questions that I'm asking, I don't have the answer to.
Correct.
I'm just throwing it out there for a discussion, and maybe our audience can give us some feedback. But what percentage do we receive from them? What percentage of help do we receive from them, or do we disregard them altogether?
Yeah, I'm trying to think about, with us never having to think like this, but what I keep going back to, and I don't hate to keep repeating myself, but obviously so many different groups believed in that system that we needed to build up us before we allow others to come in.
Right.
And I have to go back to Tulsa. Why did this businessman feel like we have to build our community? I mean, and not just in Tulsa, but
It-
back
it
in the
was all over.
1900s,
It was all over.
everywhere
Yeah.
saying we need to build us up. We need to build our community. We need to have our own businesses, our own banks. So
Right.
obviously,
Right.
that is something that is so significant.
Right.
If we build up that core, build up that strength. So obviously, that is, my thing is, what I was thinking about was when you were talking about if we could be on one accord with one thing, just that focus on just unity, focus on just ownership. If we as a people can focus on just that one thing, and then you see through history when they did how people progress, because it changed people's mindset. It starts making them stop thinking about having a 9 to 5, but I need to have my own
Right.
business. I need to
Right.
have ownership. You know
Right.
what I mean? I need to support another black business. For a second, that was the push. You know what I mean? For a second, that was the push. Oh, support. We running this side of town, that side of town to support black owned. But what happens is we stop. We don't push it anymore. When something happens in our community against us, we push for like a couple steps, and then we take a back seat and we don't push any further.
Right.
We don't promote anymore. We just kind of stop in the midst of that push.
Right.
But I feel like it is significant for our children to see that unity,
Right.
to see that push, to see us supporting each other, to see us giving each other loans, to see us coming behind each other. It builds
Right.
up pride. It builds up integrity.
Right.
It builds up something in our children to see that.
And once again, the idea is, as you mentioned, we have some communities that was building their wealth in Tulsa, in Atlanta, in Chicago, in different places.
Correct.
The only problem that they had was they didn't connect the dots. They didn't connect with each other. And that's what we have to do when we build a system.
Right. Can I?
When we
Go
build
ahead.
a system,
Right. I got
this bank is connected to this bank. If this bank is connected to Atlanta, if this bank is connected to Chicago, and then something like that happened in Chicago or Tulsa, then we would say, oh, hold up, this is a pattern. We need to get ready and fortify ourselves, because if it happened in Tulsa, it can happen to us in Chicago.
Right.
Let's build something, A, B, C, and D. And I'm going to show you that this is where the global identity come in as well.
Yeah.
But let me say this, and I'm going to be very candid when I say this, and I'm not going to be apologetic when I say this. It's going to happen again. If we are focusing on building unity, ownership, and the global identity is new. But if we're going to focus on ownership and unity, it's going to happen again. 1,010% is going to happen again. When I saw in January the 6th, and they stormed the Capitol, I said, look at all these people, and look how crazy they're acting. And if they wanted to start a riot with all minority, it will be chaos in this country. I also seen, watch this, this is what I saw. I saw the George Floyd marches and all over the country, blacks and whites for that matter.
Asians, everybody.
Everybody was marching. Versus what I saw January. I mean, y'all can look at me like I'm crazy. I didn't see too many Asians in that crowd. I didn't see too many blacks in that crowd. What I'm suggesting is it was mobs like that that destroyed Tulsa, that destroyed Atlanta, that destroyed in Chicago,
Right,
too.
right.
It was mobs like that. I'm just saying, I'm just being candid. So, which means now, if we are building ownership, if we are building unity, guess what we got to build? We got to build a system
Right.
that prepare for that type of action or that type of mentality. Now, it may not be as blatant as it was in Tulsa.
Right.
It may be a system. It may be a, watch this. It may be a cyber attack where they're attacking all the African American computers.
Right.
And deleting all types of information. And be back in the Stone Age again.
Right.
So we got to create a system that kind of fortify that and build that. And I'm not talking about people more than I'm talking about, watch this, a vicious cycle. A vicious cycle. Come on, man. What have to happen before we realize this is a problem? And this is a vicious cycle. If it happened in Tulsa, if it happened in Atlanta, if it happened in other places, and every time that it happened, it was at the peak of developing our own. So if we're saying we're going to talk about building our own, are we not prepared on building something that will fortify us not to go through that cycle again? Or are we going to be naive and build our own again for it all to crash again? And if we're looking for it to come in a crazy, racist, prejudiced mob, we probably going to miss it. They're probably going to come somewhere else or come in another way.
Right.
What you think?
So when you talk about, I'm visualizing. Time is up.
Okay.
I'm visualizing something in my mind, what you're saying. The thing is, for it not to, yes, it may not come in that form, like
Right.
you saying in a mob, because definitely. But we, as you were saying, these were different times that this happened, but it was the same thing. A mob come and burn. Or what they did was they lied and put something out through the media to make give them an excuse, correct,
Right.
to go and burn down or attack. But I'm thinking about the system that, for my job, how we work, is that you have a plan and then everyone takes hold of that plan.
Right.
So it can't be Chicago, we're just going to do it here.
Right.
It has to be Chicago. It has to be California.
Absolutely.
It has to be Maryland, Pennsylvania.
Absolutely.
So that means that every community and every leader or whoever has to say, I'm in agreement, I'm going to take. And that's how you build the unity. That's how you build the strength. But if
Right.
one say, oh, I want to do it, or no, I don't want to do it. We all have to be on one accord and say, this is a system. I know this is going to work.
Right.
Let's do it for our people.
Right. And this is how we're going to put the system
and that's
together.
How, correct.
And that's how it's going to work. And if you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us. And not that's them in Chicago, or that's them in Tulsa. And when I say, and our system is ready to protect everyone and help everyone go to the next level and achieve and accomplish. So save that for our next episode, because I see that you're on the edge of your seat.
Yeah, because that's looking at something in a higher level.
Absolutely.
And not just, we're going to do it here in Maryland, or I'm just going to do it in the AME church, or I'm just going to do it in this denomination.
Right.
But you know what I mean?
Right.
As just the whole African American
on the whole African American community. Absolutely. All right, great men and women, we did it again. We completed another powerful episode of Breaking Down Divide. And once again, get your book. We have a soundtrack coming out. Matter of fact, you should be hearing it very soon if you're not already hearing it. It's called Really. So get that. That's one of the songs on there called Really. But we have some worship songs on there. We got some feel good song on there. So everything that you would want on a soundtrack, it's a variety. So you want to get that. Once again, it's been our pleasure, Naco and Tracy Knox, breaking down divide, getting us closer to our destiny. You take care of yourself. We'll see you next time.